Hi guys, my name is Nonema Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, let's talk about how the collapse of Brigadier Bongani Nicholas Gininder collapses the entire state case when it comes to the Senzo Meyiwa case. Okay, before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment. And most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you'll be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Okay? Okay? Yes. Now, let's talk about what is the legal test. At the close of the state case, the court asked one question only. You know, normally on cases, is there evidence upon which a reasonable court acting carefully might convict? Not should, not properly, might. If the answer is no, the accused must be discharged. So that is where the application of Section 174 comes, né? And it was done when it comes to this. And we know Judge Rata was like, Anfun. Judge Rata was like, Anfun and this. Okay, fine. The second thing that we look at, the state's case structure, stripped, is out on the open. The state's case does not stand on independent pillars. It stands on one central spine, Gininda's investigation narrative. That is what the state case stands on. Every other witness is derivative, right? And visualize it like this. Eyewitnesses filtered through Gininda. Confessions or statements curated by Gininda. Arrest decisions authorized by Gininda. Witness sequencing controlled by Gininda. Remove Gininda in this entire situation, and the state case has no skeleton. Susan Joe Gininda, we are born. That is why even Ujabota is busy saying Gininda Magabui, because Kunes definitely don't say Uzos Lungis via bento. I also focus at Bendam Bizelayon. Uzo Funa Lungi says in his top payan. Point number 3. Let's check step-by-step collapse when it comes to the entire situation. Steps of 1. Gininda is discredited as an impermissible hybrid witness. Once the court finds that Gininda blended facts, opinion, and advocacy, assessed credibility, a judicial function, by the way, which he is not, contaminated witnesses through exposure, then his testimony loses probative value, not partially, structurally. That is what will happen. Step number 2, derivative evidence loses its foundation. The state's witnesses do not stand independently. That is the problem that they are facing. Ask this brutal question. Which state witness arrived in court without having been first processed, shaped, sequenced, or interpreted by Gininda? Show me one person. I'll wait. Exactly. No one. The answer is none. Therefore, if Gininda's process is tainted, everything that flowed through that process is tainted. This is classic fruit of the poison tree logic. Step 3, corroboration evaporates. You know he loved this word, corroboration, collaboration. Yay, he loved those words. Which one is going where? He did not know collaboration. We call it collaboration between Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. He did not know the difference. And he did not know the difference of corroboration. He did not know. The state relies heavily on the illusion of corroboration. But corroboration requires independent sources, independent origins, independent recollection. And here in the Senzo Meyiwa case, what the court has is multiple witnesses singing from the same songbook. The songbook written and distributed by who? Gininda. That is not corroboration. That is institutional echo. Once Gininda falls, corroboration collapses into reputation. Step number 4, witness credibility cannot be rescued. The state may argue, even if Gininda is problematic, the witnesses still stand. They do not. Why? Because their versions were aligned before court, their inconsistencies were pre-smoothed, their confidence is borrowed from the narrative, not memory. Once the narrative conductor is removed, the orchestra collapses into noise. That's what happens. Step number 5, no direct evidence remains. After Gininda is discounted, what remains? Let's look into that. Gininda is what? Discounted. Let's check what remains. No eyewitness identifying the accused at the scene. Nothing. No uncontaminated confessions. No forensic evidence placing the accused at the crime scene. No independent chain linking accused to actors. Do you see ukuthi uGininda nje msuse uba lawyer kana-accuse? What remains is a suspicion, reconstruction, and interference. Suspicion is not evidence, kesan. So ziqalise ngenxa kaGininda ayizukwazi. Okay? So nje ikwazeke. All those steps nje is something yokuthi why, if we can strip off uGininda from the case, that's what could happen in the entire situation. Do you understand? So those are the steps that can collapse his linkage to the entire. If you're nususiwe, ayikho into enophindile khona. Okay, masibuyele ke ku point number 5. That was point number 3 that we were dealing with, honest steps. Now, point number 4. The reasonable court test fails completely. Let's see. Ask the court to apply this test honestly. If Gininda's narrative is removed, can reasonable court still convict on what remains? The answer is not unlikely. No, it's not that. It is impossible. Why is that? Because the remaining evidence does not identify, does not place, does not casually link anyone. Point number 5, the constitutional nail in the coffin. A criminal trial is not a story competition. It is a test of reliability, independence, fairness. The state has presented a single source investigation disguised as a multi-witness case that offends the right to a fair trial, the presumption of innocence, the burden of proof. It's offended by what happened in the Senzo case during the state case. And then point number 6, there is no case to answer when it comes to the entire narrative of Gininda. No case to answer. Let's see. Conclusion here, court, if it comes to that. The state's case is entirely dependent on Brigadier Gininda. Once his evidence is rejected or materially discounted, there is no evidence upon which a reasonable court might convict. The accused, therefore, have no case to answer and must be discharged, period. And this will happen for appeal if Judge Rota finds them guilty. Point number 7, judicial reality. It's unspoken but true. Courts are reluctant to discharge unless forced. The case forces it because allowing it to continue would mean the defense is asked to fill gaps. The accused are asked to explain suspicion, which is exactly where we are right now. The burden quietly shifts. This is unconstitutional, okay, in all levels, okay? And now Gininda is not merely a weak witness. He is the load-bearing wall. Remove him, the entire state case collapses. Like, honestly, ayikho nje enye into, ayikho indaba yalento, uGininda xa engekho apha ku-remove yena, no one will stand there. Akekho umuntu ozokwazi uzimela apha kulaa case. Akekho. There is no evidence that is going to stand there. Should they remove Gininda? I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense to you, but when I, as a person who was watching the case, what do you think? What did you see? What do you think will happen if they remove Brigadier Gininda? When uyibona kanjani? Because now I believe, should they remove Brigadier Gininda, Chayile ngecase ayisekho nje into kaBaloyi uphelelwe akhonda noyenza futhi naye ngapha kopho. Ayikho kwa even yena uBaloyi into oyenza ngapha kopho. Kubi for yena as uBaloyi. Wena, what do you think about all of this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.